So our next unit is on cell transport, and we're going to begin this unit by learning about homeostasis. Homeostasis is the need for an organism to keep a constant or stable internal condition despite changes in its environment. In other words, keeping what's going on inside its body constant, while the things around it, the things outside its body, change. Body temperature is a good one to think about. Humans have a normal body temperature around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. We need to maintain that temperature because that's where our enzymes function best. When we go outside on a 100-degree day, the outside temperature is higher than our body's inside temperature. And naturally, our inside temperature would want to increase. Our body needs to maintain homeostasis, however, and keep that internal temperature constant, keep it normal. That's a good example of what homeostasis is all about. Organisms have specific processes and structures that respond to those outside stimuli to keep those internal conditions stable and conducive for life. So when we go outside on a 100-degree day, where the temperature outside of our body is higher than what we need inside our body, we sweat. Sweating is one of those processes that our body has that helps maintain that internal temperature, that helps keep that internal temperature stable. A major factor in homeostasis, and one of the key things that helps control it in our body, is the cell membrane and movement of material across that cell membrane. Homeostasis depends on negative feedback loops. This goes all the way back to our second unit, back when we were doing fake environmental science. In a negative feedback loop, the output of the system pushes backwards on the system, slows down a process, eventually reverses a process in order to promote or maintain equilibrium, homeostasis, as we call it in this particular unit. Again, we'll think about body temperature to help understand that. We need to maintain an internal body temperature around 98.6 degrees. When we're active, when we're exercising like running, we use major muscle groups. Those muscles will be burning sugars through respiration to produce energy for our cells, and that all is a very exothermic process. It produces a lot of heat. So, for example, when you run, our temperature rises. Our body has mechanisms that are in place that will create a negative feedback loop that will prevent it from rising too far and eventually reverse it and return it to normal. And one of those mechanisms is sweating. When your body temperature gets too high, your body detects that and it activates your sweat glands. As the sweat evaporates from your skin, it pulls heat out of your body, slowing down that process, preventing it from heating up too much, and eventually reversing that process and pushing your temperature back the other way, causing you to cool back down again. That's a negative feedback loop, and it's a prime example of how our body has processes in place to maintain homeostasis, to keep us from responding too drastically to the conditions around us. Again, the cell membrane plays a big, important part in this whole process. It helps regulate what moves in and out of our cells. Anything that the cell needs has to be able to move into the cell so the cell has it to use. A good example of this is glucose and oxygen, two substances that our cells need for cellular respiration. This happens in our mitochondria. This is the way it provides us with the useful energy that our cells need. So again, the fuel to drive that process is glucose, and that reaction also requires an input of oxygen to happen. So these substances have to be able to move into our cells. Waste products that are produced by our cells have to be able to move out. So going back to respiration again, when we burn glucose, when we make energy for our cells to use, one of the waste products that will be produced is carbon dioxide. And the body has to be able to remove that carbon dioxide. It has to be able to move out of the cell into our bloodstream so that it can be removed from our body. So the things that our cells need have to be able to move into the cells. The things that our cells produce that they need to get rid of have to be able to move out of our cells. This is all part of the homeostasis process in the cell transport. Each cell in our body exists in a fluid environment. We're water bags. We're mostly water. So all the cells in our body are enveloped in water. And the material inside of our cells, the cytoplasm, is itself mostly water. So the exterior of a cell is water. The interior cell is water, fluid. And this is what allows things to then move back and forth in and out of our cells. The cell membrane is semi-permeable. This means it's selectively permeable. It lets certain things pass through it, while at the same time blocks other things from getting in. That's what semi-permeable is all about. It lets certain things into our body, into our cells, while at the same time actively keeping other substances out. The materials that move in and out of our cells can either move through a process called passive transport or active transport. And that is what the rest of this unit is going to be about. In the next video, we're going to talk about what passive transport is and what it means, how it works. And then in the final part of this unit, we'll learn all about active transport.